Hello, I'm Paris Kern. Introduction into the Sounder Sleep System. I'd like to introduce my colleague, June LaPointe, who has started the Sounder Sleep System training with me, and had also worked with Michael a long time in the past. And I invited her because she had some pretty profound experiences and thoughts about the Sounder Sleep System, how it relates to her life as a Feldenkrais practitioner, and also how it relates to her personally.
Yeah. So would you like to know, I recently in January was at your module 1 for Sounder Sleep System, and I can let you know that, as you said, it was a profound experience for me. I felt like I got the best sleep probably of my life, Paris, after the training. And what was so profound about it is the simplicity of it and your guidance in many iterative experiences of lulling myself to sleep, or in my case, really bringing my cortisol hormone level down so that I could lull myself to sleep. And having that experience of feeling how quiet it is on the inside and how calm it can be, then afterwards, I could feel the difference that makes a difference. So, um, getting to that baseline of calm has been very, very useful since our experience together in the first module. So I know where to go. I know what's possible now. And I would say that what helped me get there was the 3 days that we had together, where, when you're trying to make something happen, like make calmness happen, and you have any little bit of ambition to do that, it's not going to work. So if I think about my experience over the trajectory of the 3 days with you, I'd say I'm I'm alert because I'm hearing a lot of novel information from you, and I'm experiencing novel things, and then just doing them over and over, in particular, witnessing my natural breath over and over, that became like a friend, right, to me. And I got accustomed to that. And I think really accepting however my breath is in the moment as natural calmed everything down, calmed an inner narrative down, calmed a should list or an examination of what's happening. And I just got on a big kind of radical receiving what is happening as just right. So there was something, you know, artfully permissive about what you were doing that gave me permission to just accept and receive. And that lulled me into that calm lowering of the cortisol level and lulling to sleep. So, we can talk about it, but until you experience it and feel the difference, that's the difference that makes a difference.
You mentioned a few things when you were talking. One was about the baseline of your cortisol level. We're
Yeah.
so used to being in a hyper-aroused state
Yeah.
in our world, and our nervous systems and our thoughts also think, oh, this level of cortisol in our bloodstream is normal. And maybe it goes down a little bit, but then it's right back up to this very high hyper-aroused state. And that hyper-arousal is what 99% of the people who have insomnia or waking in the night or shallow sleep are experiencing. It's the hyperarousal
Mm.
during the day that never quite goes away enough to allow the brain to completely rest and to do the process of turning off to be able to go to sleep. And you cannot make yourself sleep. And when you're an insomniac, you keep getting anxious about not sleeping, and it's like drinking a cup of coffee and wondering why you can't sleep. You have to do something during the day, and that's the secret of the sounder sleep system, is that it's what we do and practice very briefly throughout the day
Yeah.
that will allow us to have a surmountable amount of cortisol in our system to be able to shut down and go to sleep at night. And
Mm.
it is this immersive process of falling asleep and waking up, falling asleep and waking up throughout the 3 days that is the
Yeah.
magic.
I think that you just said something really important. That intermittency, like this fallacy that we think we have to sleep for 8 hours or 7 hours or 9 hours, whatever we read about. The idea, I think that's the first one of the first questions you ask is how many hours do you sleep in a 24-hour period? Not at night, but in a 24-hour period. And when I added all that up, I got calmer because I realized I am at an age where I'm taking cat naps during the day. And you just affirmed what was possible and natural for our systems to offer us in restfulness if we just tune into that, drop into that experience. And I'm saying this because I was wondering at one point, like, do I get one of those tracking devices, that tells me how many hours of sleep I get? And somebody in class in the first module asked about that. And I kind of perked up, wondering what you were going to say. And I have to say, I was so calmly reassured by your inviting us to let go of needing an external device to help us track and tuning into our natural ability to calm and lull ourselves.
and feel if we need sleep, the same way we feel if we're thirsty or we feel if we're hungry. We don't ignore those,
Mm,
but we ignore the feeling of needing to sleep. We make ourselves stay awake when we should fall asleep and have a nap. And unfortunately, in society today, that is an issue.
yeah.
It's an issue is that needing to stay awake. And one of the things that I talk about a lot in the trainings is dispelling a lot of the mythologies around sleep.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be a solid 8 hours. No, that's not how we're wired. And there are many other things that I talk
Yeah.
about in the training. And the training itself, we're opening up this 9-day training in the second 3-day module in April. And the reason it will work is because it's a spiral form of learning. We come back to each thing more and more deeply each time. And then at the very end, we have a practicum, and people who want to become teachers of the sound or sleep system will do a practicum with the class. But it's not necessary to want to become a teacher. You can just do the module for your own benefit. There are recordings of all the modules, and you can review them at any time, and you have transcripts of the material. So it's set up to be a very easy learning process. There's not a lot of mystery involved.
And I love that everything we did, all these practices where you're guiding us into lulling ourselves to sleep or calming ourselves down, they're all really short. They're like 15 or 20 minutes, which is so beautiful because that mirrors what I learned from you in that weekend was the sleep cycles at night that we're really we're having a sleeping event of a certain quality for 15 or 20 minutes at a time that adds up to like a 90 or 2 hour sleep
Chunk.
chunk. And then we wake up. So there's something brilliant about how you're conducting these 3 days because you're accustomed, we're getting accustomed to sleeping for 15 or 20 minutes or calming ourselves for 15 or 20 minutes and then waking up and then doing it again and waking up and doing it again. So then when that happened naturally for me after class, I didn't have a thing like, oh my God, I just woke up in the middle of the night. It's like, oh yeah, this is the natural way it happens in these 15 or 20-minute chunks. So it's made how I sleep. I it's really remarkable. I don't have any anxious narrative about what's happening in my sleep patterns. And side note, I should say, we're talking this morning after I've had a big event in my life that's pretty stressful. I've had a house fire and I'm living in an Airbnb and I'm not, I don't have the perfect setup for my life. And thank goodness I have the practice of sounder sleep. And there are times in this response to this fire where, yeah, I can feel my cortisol levels going up and I can feel it, right? I'm aware of it. And I have ways of noticing little practices I can do with my breath and small gestures that help bring my cortisol level back down. So I think I'm doing much better facing this episode in my life, this event, because I have these go-to things too.
Well, I'm so glad that you agreed to have this little chat this morning. I do want to mention to those of you out who are watching this that there's going to be a link at the end to a little example of a very simple sound or sleep daytime technique that you can watch and use. And early bird for the April 25th module is on April 15th. So we've moved to a larger room, so we have room for more people to come in. And I hope you can join us and increase the calm in your life and improve your sleep. So thank you very much. Thank you so much, June, for coming today.
You're welcome.
See you soon. Sound or sleep.